This is Lee with myexpatcoach.com, and in this video I'm going to talk to you about stages of no contact. And what I mean by that is that when you're using the no contact rule, these are the stages that your ex will likely go through in some degree, and hopefully they will get to a point where they want to get back together with you, or at least they're interested in considering it, trying, and getting in touch with you, because they want to feel that connection again with you. Please take a second and click the subscribe button below so that you can be notified when I have more videos like this that can be helpful to your situation. And that includes videos on attraction, breakups, marriage, and success in relationships. Also, if this video is helpful to you, please click the thumbs up like button below as a way of saying thanks. So I talk about this a lot in my emergency breakup kit that you can get at myexpatcoach.com. But there are stages that happen in the mind of your ex after a breakup. And the first thing that I want you to consider is that this breakup did not happen instantly, overnight, or just something that your ex woke up and thought that they would do. It most likely, to the point of being 90% or above, was not something that they just woke up and decided that they would go ahead and do that day. Most likely, it was something that they had been fighting with in their head and in their heart for weeks, months, maybe even years. And so a lot of times they are sure, they're decided, and they're a brick wall on the breakup. And because it's news to you, because it's a shock to you, and a lot of times people don't even see it coming. And so we react in that situation a lot of times with urgency and thinking that this was something that came in the head of your ex quickly and they reacted to quickly, and therefore we could maybe talk them out of it. But in a lot of ways, it's like speaking with someone about those difficult issues like politics or religion, and they have been thinking a certain way for so long that in their mind it's unthinkable that they would change their mind based on what you said. And yet a lot of times when interacting, we tend to treat those people like maybe we think we could change their mind in this short little conversation, when they've had years and years and years of solidifying this idea in their head. And the same is true with breakups. When you are broken up with, you are speaking with someone who has had a long time to develop this idea in their head based on how they feel. And it starts off usually as something that is emotional for them, and that they have this feeling that they can't quite shake, of maybe the spark is tending to die off, or the feelings are not as strong, which is a fundamental misunderstanding of love, true, but you have to accept the person as they are in that moment, and there's nothing you can do about that in that moment. But what starts off as an emotional feeling turns into something logical, in that they know that they had this emotional feeling, and now they are a brick wall of logic in their mind, at least because they know how they think. And so they can't be swayed by your emotion because they've had so long to think about it and solidify it in their head. And so that's why I strongly encourage you to give them the breakup and to go into no contact, because you're not effective in that moment. You are literally outmatched at that moment. No matter how good of a debater you are, no matter how smart you are, no matter how good of a communicator you are outmatched in that moment, because they are certain, because they feel strongly about this and have been going over it for a while. Now, are they 100%? Rarely is that the case. Usually it's just a majority of them, but it is enough, and you have to understand that it is enough, and that they are a brick wall against your efforts to get them back. If you go into no contact, and it's okay if you do give them some pushback right after they break up with you. As a matter of fact, that's probably a good thing. That is a net good thing, if you give a little bit of pushback. But when they show that brick wall, the best thing to do is to say, well, I disagree, but I respect your decision and I really wish you the best, and you back off. So if you go into no contact, there will be stages they will most likely go through, and they're not always in this order, but almost always they are in this order. But some people don't go through all of them, and some people take longer to start a stage than others. And so try not to make this into a math problem, though a lot of this is logic, and I'm trying to speak with you in a reasonable and logical way. A lot of this too is an art form, so to speak. And like the U2 song says, if they don't know what you're doing, it must be art. So some of this is just not something you can draw a hard line with, but in general, these principles are true and these stages are true to the point that I can count on them and project what will happen in some degree based on what the relationship was like and what the breakup was like. So stage 1 of no contact is relief, which is difficult to hear, I know. But your ex will be relieved because they didn't want to break up with you. It's awkward, especially if you two were close and have been together for a while and they know that they're going to hurt you. It's difficult for them. For any human being with a heart who's a decent person, it's difficult to break up with you. And even if they stay strong, a lot of times at first they respond with a lot of compassion. If you're begging and pleading and trying to keep talking to them, then they become more cold. You'll notice more direct messages that almost as though they're trying to give you more reality, whereas before maybe they would say, well, you never know, there could be a future. Or they'll say things where it's like they want to make it into this so complex of a thing. You know, well, I just don't know if we can be together right now. And they try to convince you how badly they want it, but there's these extenuating circumstances and they really need to work on themselves. And they just give you, it's a load of mess. It's ridiculousness. They're trying to create this big, complicated reason and situation where they just can't be with you and you two just can't be together because of all this stuff. And it's in their mind because they think that that will be easier for you to accept than simply that they are not as attracted to you as they were, or emotional attraction has fallen and they just don't want to do it anymore. So don't bite on that, oh, they really do want me so badly, but oh, it's just so complicated. It's nonsense. It really is. They're just not confident that you will handle this well, and they are trying to make this easy on you. So after that, they will become mean if you do not back off. So they're compassionate to some degree, and they're sorry that you're hurting, and they don't want to hurt you. Then they become more cold and direct with what they say, even if they think it's going to hurt you. And then they become mean, and they will tell you to leave them alone, or they're calling the cops. Crazy things like that to try to get you to back off. It's like a warning shot. They're wanting you to leave them alone. Hopefully you don't get to that point. If you do, your only option, and it was the best option to begin with, is to go into no contact. And that's when your ex will feel relief, which, as I said, I know is hard to hear. But your ex didn't want to do this, and they didn't want to hurt you, and they have probably been dreading it ever since they started thinking about it. And so now here they've done it. And so in some ways, they're just glad to get a difficult thing over with. They're glad that they had that difficult conversation. And they're taking a breath and they're kind of enjoying that the breakup has happened because they haven't had to experience the real life of it yet. Everybody always wants to know on coaching calls and some of the questions that come in by email, how long does the relief stage last of no contact? Well, I talk about some more of this in my emergency breakup kit that you can get at myexbackcoach.com. That's myexbackcoach.com. But basically, there's no timer on it because people are so different. However, in general terms, somewhere around a week or two is about right as far as relief. If the breakup was difficult, if you begged and pleaded, if there was anger, if you constantly contacted them and they did show that annoyance, that coldness, and even that anger, then it will take longer. You may have to allow a month sometimes if it's really difficult like that and there was some problems with the relationship toward the end or something like that. I think you know where I'm going with that in terms of just that relief is shorter if it was good and it kind of faded and they broke up with you and you handled it well. A lot of you didn't handle it well because you didn't know. This is not something that you do. You haven't been doing this for 20 years like I have, so you haven't seen all of this. If you had seen this much, you would know as well. So the relief period can take a while. 1 to 2 weeks is generally how long it will last. And during this time, it might be difficult for you to see what your ex is doing on social media, which is why I encourage you not to look. However, that does not mean that you would block them. that would just make you look immature, petty, and other things like that, or that you're trying to get to them, or that you're trying to make them jealous or something. Don't do it. First of all, you should appear that you've got too much to do to take time to do that. It's not worth your time to go block somebody on social media like we're in 7th grade. And yes, I know some people do it for their own good because they don't want to see their ex show up in their feed, and I get that, but your ex is likely going to see it on some of the platforms. So try to find another way not to see your ex in the feed. Like maybe take a break from social media, or maybe be more specific about who you go check out, what they're saying on social media. But if you can avoid it, don't block your ex. I have other videos about that and articles at myexpatcoach.com about why you shouldn't do that. But it's not good strategy if you want your ex back. But if you do see them on social media, oftentimes during relief, they will post pictures going out with friends. It will look like they are just so happy that they are broken up with you. And that will be painful to see, obviously. But just know that some of that is just because they've gotten it over with and they're thinking that it's going to be easy for them to move on. And they're looking forward to that. But we already know that their head and their heart are not where we want them to be. So don't panic. Hopefully it's temporary. And if they go into the next stage, which if you are in no contact, the odds are good they will. The next stage is where they actually notice that they haven't heard from you. And so they become curious, because usually the dumper thinks you will make an effort to get them back. In another video I have, and in the emergency breakup kit, I refer to this as the arrogance of the dumper. And what it is basically, since they broke up with you, and no matter what they said about how difficult it was and they wish they could be with you, and oh, the universe is just conspiring against me, they thought in that moment that you weren't good enough for them in many ways, that they were more attractive than you, and that they were not as attracted to you as you were to them. And so they feel a little bit better than you. Again, I'm wording that harshly, but that's kind of the basics of it. That doesn't mean that they're a bad person at all, but we all kind of tend to think of ourselves versus other people, and I'm more physically attractive than this person, or I'm smarter than this person. I mean, we all kind of do that, and I don't think that we have bad intent by doing it. But the dumper usually feels like they are kind of the winner here. You're the one who was dismissed, and they dismissed you. And that's kind of the mindset they have. And so they assume you are in this lower level where you should be chasing and trying to get them back, because they're obviously better because they broke up with you. So it's kind of circular reasoning. And so when you don't do that, it rocks their world sometimes. A lot of people think that that's just going to happen. And when it doesn't happen, they get curious. What's going on with you? Why is she taking this so well? Why is he taking this so well? Why have they not been texting me? Why have they not been begging for me back or fighting for me? When what you're really doing is respecting their decision. And they should see that. And they do to some degree. But a lot of them has sort of this primitive, let's call it immature even, part of them that wants to be chased, even if they get to reject you. Now, I'm not saying that's what's going to happen. I'm just saying that early on, they kind of feel that way, that their ego has been punched just a little bit because you haven't chased. And so we want them to think that. That's fine. Let them sit there and wallow in it, that you haven't been chasing them, that you have just given them a nothing burger, that you have just been silent. Let them wonder what you've been up to, what you've been doing, which is what they tend to do in the curiosity stage. And it's that mystery that causes the preoccupation with you that you want and you need if you want them back. Because that's what, when paired with a little bit of doubt, that's all it takes is a little bit, and that curiosity, that they start to get into the next stage, which is concern. And in this stage, they are concerned and they are afraid to some degree that they might be losing you. And the key word there is actually might. We don't want them to think they absolutely have. That's why I tell people, don't post pictures of you and other potential romantic partners on social media to try to get at your ex or try to make your ex jealous, because usually that blows up in your face, because they'll see that and they will think, oh, well, I didn't mean that much, if they're already able to move on like that. But at the same time, the other extreme is as bad, where you make it obvious that you can't move on yet and that you're miserable without them. We don't want either of those extremes. We want it in the middle where they're not really sure, where there's mystery, because that's far more difficult. When you have the answer, you are much more settled in your mind and your emotions than you are when it's mystery. As the great philosopher Tom Petty said, the waiting is the hardest part, the uncertainty when it hasn't happened. So we want them to have that mystery about you. What are you doing? Why haven't you contacted me? Are you moving on? Those are questions we want them to be wondering about. And that mystery, how many times have you heard mystery is attractive? It is. Don't doubt it. And it is in this stage where they have this fear of loss, this concern, that they can begin to dabble with the idea that you might not ever reach out to them again. And that's when they actually have to take the breakup seriously and their decisions seriously. Because if you are making it easy on them by contacting them and telling your friends how miserable you are so that your ex finds out that you're having a hard time with the breakup and that you would take them back and you want them back, that's where you give your ex comfort. And they don't have to ever really come face to face with their decision or worry about the consequences if they've made the wrong decision. So it's sort of like, as I've mentioned in other videos and in the emergency breakup kit, if I went to Vegas and you told me, Lee, you can bet whatever you want on blackjack and I'll cover your losses. Well, I'd throw down $10,000 because you're the one covering it, not me. I'd have no fear of loss. I don't have to deal with the consequences of my actions. And so if your ex is getting obvious messages from you that you will take them back, that you're miserable without them and all of that, then you are giving them that safety net where they don't have to worry about the consequences of their actions. They can keep moving forward without you. They can go date other people. They can run all around the world partying, and you will be right there in case they ever change their minds, which is really pathetic sounding, which again, you don't want to appear that way to your ex. And so when people have trouble with the idea of no contact and they think that it will help their ex move on if I stay away from that person, it's not true. The opposite is true. You make it easy for them if you let them know that you're right there. Even in cases where the relationship was where you maybe didn't give them the affection or the love, respect that they needed, we're on a different side of the coin now, post breakup. So don't think that now's time to turn on the love and the affection and the attention, because actually what you show them is, hey, you have to dump me before I'll do this for you. That's not attractive. You have to re-attract them before it becomes important to show them the new you. That's another topic for another time and deeply covered in my emergency breakup kit that you can get at myexbackcoach.com. So if your ex has lost the ability to expect you to reach out, what's next? Well, it's that they realize, if I'm wrong about this, I will lose this person, that they will lose you. And so that's where the pressure is on them to reach out to you. And of course, like everyone else, they have some ego, they have some pride. And so when they do reach out, it's not always, I messed up, I want you back. Oftentimes it's, hey, how are you doing? Or something like that, something casual. And I go into how to deal with your ex after no contact in my emergency breakup kit. But just know that it's not always this intense reach out where they say they messed up and they want you back, will you take me back? Oftentimes they're just kind of testing the water and they want to feel some of that connection because they do fear the loss, which makes them appreciate the role you had in their life. And so they get to that final stage of where they can't take it anymore and they are in misery in the consequences and they reach out to you. So the stages are relief, curiosity, concern, consequences. And that often results in your ex reaching out to you. It's not 100%, but it works in the majority of cases, as I have observed over 20 years in the relationship recovery service. So don't doubt it, trust no contact, and that there are stages your ex must go through. You can't rush these things. A lot of times in today's world, we just think, well, if I add more manpower, more time, more focus, we can get anything done faster. It doesn't work that way. Time is actually part of the equation in this situation. We want your ex looking down and saying, wow, it's been a month or 2 months since they have texted me or reached out. They need to have that shocking moment. They need that. So those are the stages of no contact. Get more information on my emergency breakup kit. It's very strategic. It's what you need if you want to get your ex back. And you can get more information about that in the link below or by going to myexbackcoach.com. That's myexbackcoach.com for information about my emergency breakup kit. And you can also schedule a coaching call with me at myexbackcoach.com. This has been Coach Lee with myexbackcoach.com. Thank you for watching.